Israel vows to retaliate after Iran attack. World War III watch is on.
Israel vowing to respond after Iran's attack over the weekend. The Biden administration and other world leaders are urging restraint. Matt Gutman is in Israel with the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael. We are in southern Israel at a military base, and what you're seeing here is part of one of the 130 ballistic missiles fired by Iran at Israel. You can see shrapnel here. It was knocked out of the sky by one of those Arrow anti-missiles. This is just a section of it. Just the fuel tank up here would have been the warhead, 800 pounds of high explosives. An Israeli official telling me their anti-missile shield worked perfectly, but it was also a matter of luck that one of these didn't hit a population center, killing dozens and possibly.
Yeah, except it wasn't aimed at a fucking population center. Like, come on. How are we still doing this, big dog? Why are you... Bro, you're in Israel. This footage does not go through the military censors. You don't have to fucking lie about it. This is what I don't understand. If you were in Gaza and you were actually doing coverage from inside of Gaza, that footage has to go through military censors. You can't say correct things when you're covering things that are happening inside of Gaza because by law, by Israeli law, for those of you who don't know, the only Western journalists that are allowed to enter Gaza can only enter as embeds on Israeli troops, Israeli brigades, okay? They can only go into Gaza with Israeli troops. They are very limited in what they can show inside of Gaza because of this reason. And beyond that, all of that footage goes through Israeli censors. Now, on that front, that censorship obviously that censorship obviously is very successful. And even then, Israeli violence in the Gaza Strip is so glaringly obvious that, even the censors can't fucking stop Western journalists from being like, yeah, this is a lot of goddamn dead babies, But here, when you're talking about it, you don't have to fucking slip in and be like, Iran was trying to hit, densely populated civilian areas. And it's like, well, definitely not. They definitely were not. They said they were not. And the ones that did hit, the 3 or 4 ballistic missiles that did hit a fucking military base. We all know Iran was targeting mosques. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Iran was trying to hit population-dense areas and also mosques.
Possibly triggering a regional war.
The Middle East on edge this morning with Iran vowing a massive response to the slightest action from Israel as Israel vows to retaliate for that rain of missiles.
Iran will face the consequences for its actions.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convening his war cabinet for the third.
Well, how do you know that Iran wasn't aiming at civilian targets? Because they said so. And I'm inclined to believe what they have to say in this matter, especially considering that they, one, gave prior go-ahead and multiple fucking warnings before retaliating. And also, I think the real reason why Iran wasn't targeting civilian dense areas is because this was theater. This wasn't like an act of genuine war in general, but instead a very calculated and very limited retaliation that would be conducted in a way with American knowledge ahead of time and Israeli knowledge as a consequence of that, so that, one, they did a show of force and they demonstrated that they can fucking strike Israel, and two, they didn't kill civilians so that like Israel would have all of the reasoning to go back and fucking retaliate in kind and hit Iranian soil in general. Because obviously Iran doesn't want the fucking smoke either. You know what I mean? Like, that is the reality. I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, dude, America gonna find out. Like, Iran is, the IRGC is gonna fucking destroy everybody. Like, no, nobody wants, especially Iran, I would say, as far as regional actors goes, is definitely one of the more reasonable ones in that area, definitely infinitely more tempered than any of these other fucking countries in the region, especially when you consider that UAE and Saudi Arabia were literally doing a genocide a couple of years prior. Iran is the only fucking country in the region that has done its fair share of domestic violence, for sure, and it has done its fair share of violence to non-Shia sects in other parts of the region. But most of the time, their military operations are conducted against like some of the more fundamentalist sects that are legitimately American enemies as well. So overall, this retaliation and the fact that they had not hit Israel or anything for that matter directly after October 8th for 6 fucking months shows restraint. The fact that they were doing this after demanding from the UN Security Council some kind of respite, some kind of legal repercussions for Israel, was actually another indication that they are engaging in some level of restraint. Now, that restraint, you could say, is because they're like wise state actors, or you could say it's out of self-preservation. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, for the record. I also told you guys that I was going to serve the top of the hour ad break, and it's been 20 minutes, and I fucking forgot, so I'm running it now. Lol, what? No, you don't get it. Resistance of Axis is based in showing Israel who is boss. Lol, what? Iran is the biggest stabilizer in that region. They're equally responsible for the genocide in Yemen, dog. Yeah, you're right, dude. It was actually the fucking Western-backed coalition forces, according to literally Western intelligence, Western fucking humanitarian organizations. But you're right. It's actually Iran propping up the fucking Houthis that is the reason. They just kind of genocided themselves that way. This is the classic conundrum. If you have this attitude, I suspect that you also believe that, you know, Gaza deserved it. Gaza deserved the ethnic cleansing. Because that is precisely the same fucking attitude to have in this situation. You are victim blaming victims of genocide in that circumstance. A ridiculous way to fucking approach the subject matter, but unfortunately all too common in the minds of Americans. Which is really funny because even American institutions like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International don't even fucking agree with you on this front. Okay? Very strange behavior. What? Fuck Israel. I'm not victim blaming genocide. Yemen does not equal Houthis. No, you don't understand that the argument that you're presenting when you say Iran is responsible for the fucking genocide in Yemen is identical to the argument that Israelis present with respect to the genocide in the Gaza Strip. I think you're having a hard time not understanding that. Maybe you think it's not fashionable to do so, to say that about Israel, but you are doing it about Yemen right now when you say Iran is responsible for the genocide in Yemen. It's not. Saudi Arabia and the UAE and the Western coalition forces are responsible for the genocide in Yemen. That's it. What is this? What the fuck? Hasan, you're so wrong. Go to Wikipedia. What? Hasan, you're so wrong. Go to Wikipedia. Explain it then. Was just curious. I'm a long-time sub. Followed 10 minutes ago. That's such a dumb fucking emote. Matt Chatter. Oh my God. I said equally responsible, bud. How many were Houthis killing before the Saudis' blockade? Did they not collab with the corrupt regime they supposedly were rebelling against? What do you mean equally responsible? There is no equal responsibility in a genocide. When there's a Saudi blockade and that number of the dead reaches an unimaginable number, the prior civil war kind of falls apart, don't you think? It's like talking about, I don't know, fucking Palestinian Authority versus, it's like talking about the political dynamics between Hamas and like former PLO or whatever, when in fact there is one galvanizing factor here, one factor that unironically brings everyone to the fray, and that factor is Israel, which is ironic because in the Yemen situation, Israel is also still the same factor that brought everybody together. Remember, victims of genocide do not have to be perfect fucking victims. Obviously, I am not in favor of like Houthi domestic policy. I have also even talked about the fact that they have cursed the Jews on their banner. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like these guys aren't anti-Semitic, okay? I'm sure there are plenty of anti-Semites, especially in Yemen in general. This has nothing to do with that conversation when we're talking about their resistance to the Israeli genocide, resistance to and the actions that they're taking in an effort to stop the genocide in Gaza. If you don't want the bad guys to look good, don't do worse shit than them, if that makes sense. The stream titles are crazy. Bro wants a World War III so bad for the content. You're telling on yourself when you come in here and you say that kind of thing. It's pretty funny because, like, you don't give a shit unless shit is hitting the fan. I cover this kind of thing every goddamn day of the week. I cover this. I've been covering this issue for months. You were probably on board with the whole Hasan fell off, as a matter of fact, brigade. And now you're just butthurt that, you and many others like you are actually interested in this stuff once again, because it has like global implications. Okay. And then you're like, well, I guess he's just like wants World War III. It's like, well, why was I still covering it relentlessly every single goddamn day, even when people weren't paying attention to it then? Why did so many people turn around and say Hasan fucking fell off if it wasn't for the fact that I was consistently still covering the ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza? And that actually ruffled a lot of feathers in progressive circles, especially in the Western world. NATO Andes decided to be kind of freaks about it. So what's up? I feel like so much of your haters came back after this Iran attack and were like, damn, oh God, oh damn, this guy's views actually haven't changed. Yeah. Interesting how it always comes back to history will absolve me. Yeah, but a lot of people refuse to recognize that history has absolved me time and time again. It don't matter though. All right, let's continue.
Day to discuss a response to that unprecedented barrage of more than 300 missiles and drones early Sunday.
We saw a response, multi-layered, multinational, against that would-be
this guy's my favorite.
ring of
Against
fire that
that.
Iran intended on enduring and putting on Israel. We stopped that.
The coordinated response from a U.S.-led coalition, including Britain and France, thwarting the attack. The IDF saying 99% of those incoming threats intercepted. An Israeli official telling ABC News Iran actually increased the number of ballistic missiles it would fire once it learned of the scope of the U.S.-led coalition against it.
They knew that many were going to be defeated, but the aim was to get as many of them through Israel's defenses as possible.
And for the 12 minutes it took,
I do find it very funny that these guys always have this like very inconsistent narrative that they're like, oh, they failed big time, right? They failed big time. What a massive failure, right? What a massive fucking failure this was for Iran. Also, simultaneously, they also admit that like Iran openly stated what they were going to do. And it's pretty funny to say both of those things at the same time. It's like, so what's the argument here? That they're really stupid, so they informed everybody ahead of time, thinking that like a lot of the missiles would not get thwarted. Like, what the fuck were they? It's like, oh, what were these guys thinking? They waited 2 weeks, informed the UN Security Council that if they don't do something, they are going to. If the UN Security Council doesn't actually bring Israel to justice for its escalation, then they're going to retaliate in kind, and then openly stated that they were going to retaliate in 72 hours by telling all the fucking regional actors, including the mediator that America was using, Turkey, the NATO country, Turkey. So stupid of them to let us know ahead of time. Look at how dumb these guys are. It's a funny way to do propaganda by the likes of John Kirby, but obviously, the message has been heard by the reasonable actors within the State Department who are at least a little bit more pragmatic and not throating Israel in the same way that like Joe Brandon is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because that's why you got generals talking about That's why you had fucking General Spiderfucker going on CNN and being like, John Bolton should not be anywhere near the conversation about Iran. He is a psychopath. He said, wait, what were the words that he said? Spider rapist. Goes on fucking CNN and literally says, I thank God every morning I wake up that John Bolton is removed from power. Because if he was anywhere near power with this Iran shit, we would be in like nuclear Holocaust territory. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely diametrically opposed to the Ayatollah regime in Iran, but Israel bombing a consulate is just not done. Absolute insanity how we're supporting Israel and instead of sanctioning them. Wait, that's so funny. This guy, why are people yelling at that guy? He's in agreement. Yeah, they're simultaneously incompetent and also extremely dangerous and calculated is such a funny fucking attitude to have. No, they are definitely infinitely more restrained, partially out of self-preservation. And everybody understood that they had to fucking retaliate because if they don't, Israel's not going to stop. They just keep showing the rest of the regional actors that they have no interest in stopping whatsoever. Okay? They keep telling America, suck my dick over and over again. Everyone sees that shit. What are they supposed to think? When you hit a fucking embassy, why wouldn't they think you're going to hit Iranian soil the next day? Israel has also shown every fucking regional actor for the past at least 30 years, okay, at least for the past 30 years, that the only way you can stop Israel is with force. That's it. They abuse diplomacy. They've abused diplomacy against the Palestinians over and over again. If you have shown yourself as a weak enemy, they will pummel you. They will pounce on you. Hilarious shit. All my Zionist friends are showing the video of the crazy Iranian Zionist lady that you showed on stream yesterday. Yes, they love her. Of course they do, because she's attractive. She's brown enough. You know what I mean? And she's dick riding Israel and saying that this is the Iranian perspective. Why wouldn't they fucking go after that? None of that changes the actual rational discourse on the matter. Isn't Bibi the main problem? What percentage of Israelis back the bombings? Brother, you are about to find out that it's a massive, massive percentage of Israelis that want the bombing to continue. Yeah. Now, it doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter because what Israelis want doesn't really matter in this process. What Israelis want doesn't really matter. What we are willing to allow them to do is what matters. We, as in America. That's the issue here. That's why I've been so fucking critical of the Biden administration since October 8th for not doing what is smart, even from a pro-American imperialism perspective. The fact that there is internal contradictions, the fact that there is internal struggle in the U.S. State Department since October 8th is only further reaffirming my commitment to this cause. There are literally State Department actors who are saying we have to restrain Israel because they are destabilizing too much. They are destabilizing too much. Then they're making us look bad to our allies. They're making us look bad to our adversaries. They're making us look weak. Us, the United States of America. They are ruining our soft power capabilities. If we cannot stop our attack dog in the region from going above and fucking beyond and doing genocide to a population, we don't give a fuck about the population, by the way. We don't care about the Palestinian lives. We only care about American interests. Israel going above and beyond is literally fucking up American interests, and many people in the State Department see that reality. That is precisely why there are plenty of people in the State Department that are begging the Biden administration to do restraint, maybe for the wrong reasons, but it's still, they're like, dude, in the interest of the preservation of the Israeli apartheid, we have to stop them. Meanwhile, the Israeli population is obviously very excited at the prospect of full-blown ethnic cleansing. They have packaged that up perfectly. They don't see the actual violence on the ground. And even if they did, I'm not so sure that they would be on board. Or I'm not so sure that they wouldn't be on board with it. And beyond that, they think this is being reframed and being repackaged as we're fighting Hamas. We're fighting Hamas. We're fighting Hamas terror babies. So unfortunately, major percentages, especially in the Jewish Israeli population, are very much in support of the bombing and want this to continue. There are obviously people who are criticizing Netanyahu and protesting Netanyahu. They still want the bombing to continue, mind you. They just want it to stop for now so we get the fucking hostages out. I think most Israelis just want the hostages back. Most Israelis don't want a war with Iran, though. I don't know if most Israelis don't want a war with Iran. They probably don't. But they do definitely want the hostages back. A lot of Israelis want the hostages back, and then they want the bombing to continue.
Took for those missiles to arc from Iran to Israel, American and Israeli officials unsure if their missile net would hold. It did. A senior Israeli Air Force official telling ABC News multiple Middle Eastern countries provided Israel with an early warning, and Israel's Arrow aerial defense system taking down ballistic missiles seen streaming over Jerusalem. The IDF saying this new video shows Israeli troops pulling one of those bus-sized ballistic missiles.
You don't think there's Palestinians who want attacks on Israel to continue too, though? Bro, of course Palestinians want Israel to be fucking pummeled into the ground. What would you think? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that a population that was being fucking genocided is literally on board with the genocidaires being bombed by another fucking country. Oh, wow. I guess that gives them more. I guess that gives Israel more reason to continue pummeling Gaza. What the fuck? How is that even any part of this conversation? If you ask the Jews during the fucking Holocaust what to do with Nazi Germany, I'm sure they would have the same exact approach. As a matter of fact, guess what? I don't need to actually speculate on this. I know for a fact from at least Norm Finkelstein's parents who were in the Warsaw Ghetto and were a part of the resistance in the Warsaw Ghetto, as a matter of fact. Okay? Yes, dude. What a ridiculous attitude. Yeah. Wow. Well, some of the Palestinians are probably really fucking excited at the prospect of Iran bombing Israel. Yeah, of course they are. Because from their perspective, it's like maybe the drone activity is softening a little bit in Gaza because Israel is a little bit more worried about defending themselves now. Oh, they got a little respite from the bombing, from the endless ethnic cleansing that they have withstood for the past 6 months. That's crazy. Yeah. It's kind of, yeah, it's a funny approach to have to this matter. Stop with the clickbait title, dude. We are nowhere near needing to worry about World War III. Oh my God. I assume these are the new Bonercelli fans coming in here to be like, you're wrong. You're actually fantasizing about World War III. No, I'm simply stating that if Israel retaliates against Iran, depending on how Israel retaliates in the upcoming days, then a much broader conflict will occur. If they are restrained, it will not. That's it.
Missiles out of the Dead Sea. President Biden saying the U.S. is committed to the safety of troops in the region and to Israel's security, but the administration making it clear that the U.S. will not participate in any Israeli counterstrike. Iran says its attack avenged Israel's strike earlier this month that killed 2 top generals at a consulate complex in Syria.
And Israeli officials tell me that the most likely Israeli...
Yeah, they had a moment about the most recent video title, like Dia's never done clickbait. That's such a funny fucking thing to get mad about. Yeah. I'm sorry that in between your kick streams talking to fucking pedophiles or whatever, you decided to take a brief moment of respite to be like, yeah, I know I've been defending genocide unconditionally for the past fucking 6 months, and I've gotten literally bullied for this position finally by someone who is infinitely more knowledgeable than me in broad daylight so that everyone could know how much of a fucking charlatan I am and simply a contrarian mercenary when it comes to debate. I was intellectually outpaced by people who are infinitely more knowledgeable than me. But guess what? This guy said World War III might happen in a situation where World War III might actually happen, as a matter of fact. I didn't watch the actual video. I didn't even read the subtitle of the fucking video, but I've made my mind up. Every guy saying that you said you were a terrorist supporter for interviewing the Yemeni TikToker. Yeah, I don't give a shit about what these Nazi scumbag fucks have to say. Okay? They see brown kid, they go, that's a terrorist.
Retaliation will be clandestine, possibly a cyber attack or a targeted strike against an Iranian official in Iran. But those officials say that a key consideration will be preserved.
Hasan, you say a lot without actually saying anything. You literally just did that. You did that just now. You literally just did that. So many of you dumb fucks want to come across like you're so smart and so worldly, and you fail to demonstrate even a modicum of knowledge in any of these fucking issues that you talk about, which is why you just watching a spawn spiral out of control is going to be hilarious. Yeah, I'm spiraling completely out of control. You're right. I've fallen off, and I've also spiraled completely out of control. You guys got it. Again, flinging desperately at aesthetics. Oh, the vibes are bad. Oh, well, there's a genocide, but I think you're like too angry about it. Rats, all of you.
Serving this defensive coalition that the U.S. built to protect Israel. Michael.
All right, Matt, thank you so much for that. The attack by Iran has Congress scrambling to pass aid for Israel and possibly Ukraine. Our senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is on Capitol Hill with the latest for us this morning. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, Michael, good morning to you. And this is a risky move for House Speaker Mike Johnson. For months, he has avoided saying how he plans to address aid for Israel, Ukraine.
Look at these guys, bro. Oh, they are scrambling, brother. Imagine supporting Palestine. Lamau, what a fucking clown. Oh, man. Oh, no. Oh, no, dude. Oh, it's so sad that the numbers that you have of Israel supporters are dwindling every fucking day as the rest of the world recognizes that Israel is committing a genocide. So you have no argument. So you go, imagine supporting Palestine.
And Taiwan. Now under growing pressure, he is unveiling his plan for the first time, but it is a complicated one. The Speaker of the House said that the House will not vote on the Senate's bipartisan foreign aid package that wrapped aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan all into one. Instead, Johnson plans to break that package up and bring 4 separate bills to the floor for a vote, one for each issue, and then a final bill that's really shaping up to be a Republican wish list with conservative policy wins. Johnson knows he has a razor-thin majority. He's trying to satisfy all different wings of his party so that he can keep the Speaker's gavel. Sources tell me that Speaker Johnson did speak to President Biden by phone before unveiling this.
Yes, I'll be speaking on the Trump trial in a second after we're done here.
Package to Republicans behind closed doors just yesterday, but it's unclear if Democrats are going to go along with any of this. Either way, Johnson says those votes will be happening this week, Michael.
All right, we know you'll be covering that for us. And, you know, the House moved to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. And today, those articles are going to be handed over to the Senate.
Yeah, exactly, Michael. The House voted to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the border. He was the first cabinet secretary in 150 years to be impeached. So today, those articles will be transferred over to the Senate. Democrats pointing out there is no evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors, which is why they are expected to quickly dismiss these charges, Michael.
All right, Rachel Scott, thank you as always.